Hi, I'm Viv, and I'm the face behind Skinpharma Aesthetics in Stockton-on-Tees. Hope you're all keeping well. This week, I'm continuing our Instagram journey with myself and Sunny Dhesi, talking about our journey in the use of ultrasound in our aesthetics work. Hi, Sunny, and hi also to Candice Dery, who's our guest this week. So I will just add them on now. I'll just add Sunny first. It won't be a second. Candice is a sonographer who's based in the States, and she'll be joining us shortly. I'll just add Sunny. Hi, Sunny.
Hi Viv, how are you?
Fine, fine, doing well. Have you had a good day today?
It's been busy. I was meant to go to CCR, but then we had so much business stuff to do that we didn't go in the end. How about
Yeah.
how about yourself?
Yeah, just been busy with work today as well. Doing a bit of talking with a few different practitioners and also Clarius as well. I'll mention a little bit about that later on. But we will add on Candice. I will just add Candice, and hopefully we won't have any problems this time. We had a
No,
few technical glitches last time, didn't we?
no broadband outages, hopefully. There's Candice. Hi.
Hi, we're connected today.
Yes, seamless
Yeah.
sound.
It's nice to see you
Wonderful.
again, Candy. It's really nice to see you. I think we were just starting a really nice chat with you last time, and the internet was just playing games with us, unfortunately. So
Yes,
really nice to
yes.
see you this time. I think I've had a few messages from practitioners that were really looking forward to that live, and they were just really they were really wanting to listen to you, and hopefully they'll be joining us tonight now anyway.
Maybe
So
maybe it was well planned, right? You just need them
Yes.
to wait, just to wait.
probably, I think it will be. But what I'll do, I'll let Sunny start off. He can introduce you, and I'll add in questions later on if that's okay with you.
Perfect.
So Candice, yeah,
Great.
welcome back. Obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, the internet or Instagram gods will let us
Yes,
get through.
please.
So you had started off last time. Obviously, you've got a very exciting concept with aesthetic imaging, and as a senior, well established sonographer. But I think for those who are just joining now, who missed the introduction last time, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got started in maybe sonography, and then I'll ask you a few questions about aesthetics.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you so much. I love that there was interest, and I'm feeling the vibe of interest over in my area too. So it's been really fun.
Good.
Again, like you said, my name is Candice, and I'm a sonographer. I have been for almost, gosh, 11 years, and it's been a fun ride. And I went to a university here in the States to become a sonographer, where I received my advanced radiologic sciences degree, um, and started scanning right out of school, and have been doing a lot of general sonography within hospitals and clinics for the most part until this past year, which is when I rolled right into facial imaging and ultrasound.
I think you there was a connection that I think was it a mutual connection, Viv, Candice, that you
Yeah.
had that just refresh us about how that shift to aesthetics came about, Candice.
Oh, yeah, of course. So, about a year ago, my dear friend of, gosh, 18 years, called me and said, "Hey, you need to look into this. Look into ultrasound and its applications and benefits within the industry, and let me know what you think." And her name is Yvonne Delos. She's a nurse practitioner, a fellow colleague of Viv's.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's a small world, of course, but I took the deep dive. I looked at all the medical journals, the articles, the research that came out, of course, all the wonderful articles that you guys have already mentioned on your interviews. And it didn't take me long to, number one, see the need, see the why behind ultrasound within the aesthetic practice. And that really is what got me um, passionate about ultrasound within aesthetics, and then seeing the need for more providers to be aware of this need, to be trained or to help if they're not there yet. And so that's where this connection was. Is I had a friend that is in the industry that said, you know, just planted the seed essentially. And then I haven't looked back since. It's been such an amazing journey.
Tell us, so that, I mean, that's great. Just the connection and networking. That's what obviously Viv and me doing every Thursday, which is brilliant.
It was just,
Yes.
Go on.
sorry, Wing, to interrupt there, Sonny. I was just going to mention Yvonne. I met Yvonne in training in Oslo a few years back when I went for a masterclass lip augmentation in Norway with Julie Horn. And Yvonne was one of the trainees there as well. And we got on really well, and it shows how small this world is, because we're now talking to one of her friends. So again, it's really nice speaking to you with your friend being Yvonne as well, Candice. So thanks for that.
It's kind of fun, right? Right. I mean, she's an amazing person, and of course, I have enjoyed getting to know so many amazing individuals, like such as yourself, and the community that you guys are building around this. I couldn't be happier seeing what you guys are doing simply by doing these Thursday lives to create that sense of community around it.
No, awesome. So aesthetic imaging, which is obviously your vision, for those that are watching, tell us a little bit about your vision for the service that you're offering. Then, like, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it what you have been doing, what you hope to do with it?
Perfect. Thanks. That's great questions. Ultimately, what we saw as I started looking into it, aside from learning facial mapping and doing all of that, I was consistently hearing from providers who either took training or bought the ultrasound device or was intimidated because they heard of this, you know, learning curve and the investment getting into it. And so essentially, I saw an additional need, right, for additional support in more than one way to be able to try to support our providers. And that's the vision of aesthetic imaging, is twofold, essentially, right, to meet providers in their offices and provide ultrasound services that I bring my equipment to them and can do any type of ultrasound services that they request, right? And then the other part of this is teaching them on site in their offices how to apply ultrasound and how to connect with their patients in a way that they're excited about ultrasound and the new transition that they're making within their office. Of course, so training providers, but also for those providers who aren't there yet or may not be able to afford it yet.
Yeah.
Just kind of want a little taste. I am there for them with my own device and the background and experience that I have, just to work with them as a team.
Candice, one of I mean, that does sound brilliant. And actually, we just had a comment that is brilliant. I guess we have heard about resistance. Obviously, people who are well established, you know, it's sort of looking at, I don't know whether it's like horse and cart versus the car or whatever analogy you want to use, or internet versus, you know, no internet. But a little bit of resistance. So have you encountered any resistance to from established practitioners or just anyone that says, well, we've been fine up until now without ultrasound, so why do we need ultrasound now?
You know, it's really interesting. Yes, I have, because
Tell us more. That's the exciting thing. We want to hear the gossip.
I am not really defensive about it. I'm just kind of like, you do you. That's totally fine.
Sure.
But as soon as they need us, and they know. Even providers who are resistant, if they're in a situation where they want more information, they are going to be calling any provider who has an ultrasound device. And I do believe that, and I've seen it. But other providers where I'm seeing resistance, even with, like, for say my services, it is coming out of their pocket. You know, they're essentially paying for this additional service, or they haven't quite figured out how they want to roll that service out. And so I feel like just taking a very no pressure, low expectation approach at this point has been the best. And the providers who are interested find me. And I feel like that's been the best, is they just find me. And it's been amazing.
One last question for me, because I'm sure Viv is dying to ask some questions as well. Do you find that because you're not an injector yourself, that is there a little bit of would you say there's a gap in what you're providing? I mean, how do you mind that gap, as we say in the UK?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. I recognize that right away.
Yeah.
And so Yvonne sent me her list of books.
Okay.
And I study a lot. I want to be able to meet my providers and practitioners where they're at in their environment, to speak your language, to try and understand as much as I can about where you guys are at. Additionally, I reached out to a couple providers in my area when I first began, and I did 100% free volunteer clinic hours. I asked them, would you allow me to shadow you? And I have a lot of shadowing hours behind me in asking them. It's a mutually beneficial thing for me to be able to see through the eyes of injectors, to help me meet you in a better place. So 100%. If I didn't do any of that, there would be
That's
a
brilliant.
large gap. Yeah.
Brilliant. Go on, Viv. I've hogged the questions for a while. You go for it.
No, it's been great just listening to you for the last few minutes, Candice. I was actually thinking back last week, I don't know if you saw, but Injectors Lounge, Christian Subio, who runs Injectors Lounge, had a post about ultrasound. He's never gone through training, he's never witnessed the use of ultrasound, but he has his own views despite that, and he made them perfectly clear. I don't know if you saw the comments. What did you think? If you had seen them, did you have any views about that?
Oh, Viv, way to put Candice on the spot. But...
I know. You know, it was interesting because, of course, I felt like his post was very catching for anybody. Like, oh, what is this? Like, is this like a go ultrasound thing or not? And as soon as you read it, yes, it definitely was not. But honestly, you know, I feel like all it did was make the ultrasound community stronger. It brought so much awareness and so many more people that I connected with pro ultrasound or asking questions. I thought it was amazing how it just turned completely around to, well, why do we need ultrasound? And, you know, those things, you know, we're not fear mongering. We're not doing any of those things. And it's purely because we are trying to stay up with the times, and why not use a useful tool that has been proven to be useful, which I thought was very wonderful what you came out with, Viv, right after. But the comments, yes, speaking to some of the comments, there were some passionate ones in there, no doubt. I was so proud of our ultrasound community on multiple comments that were there. But I also am I heard a lot of other injectors say, you know, mine just sits in the drawer and collecting dust. And that's where I feel like there's more opportunity, right? There's more need there to say, okay, well, tell me about your training. Or did you just buy an ultrasound and just not follow through with training? Those types of things. Because I can't speak for them, but I almost can guarantee you that anyone who trained you would like to know if you're struggling after their class. 100%. I don't feel like there's going to be anyone that's going to be like,
Candice,
you know, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Looking at your services. Obviously, you've got in-person, in-clinic services, complications management, pre-injection mapping. But have you got a course that you?
I actually do. Yes. Yeah.
Good. Tell us more about it.
Oh my gosh! After a course, I just ride that wave of. I just have this high because these students come. There we go. Yes.
There you go.
Thank you. Yes. So students come and they're so excited, and I mean, they're there because they want to be, right? They're investing their time and their money. Our course has, you know, a didactic portion, and then we roll right into hands-on. I make these fun gel mold things where they find, you know, what certain items look like under ultrasound and kind of get them excited that way. Okay. And then we roll right into all the facial mapping. Gosh, you providers are so amazing. You ask amazing questions in class. It blows me away how fast you are picking up on these concepts, which tells me that you are ready for this. Aesthetic providers are so ready to just dive into this if they're willing to give it a go.
Great. I was going to go on to ask you some of the questions that practitioners would have about use of ultrasound and questions related to the equipment, Candice. It's just a few different types of questions that I think a lot of practitioners are considering. Equipment, for a start, there's lots of different types of ultrasound equipment that's available in Europe, in the UK, and in the States as well. In your view, if you were explaining to a practitioner who's got very little idea of ultrasound in aesthetics work, and they ask you, how do scanners differ? What would you say to them about the difference between one scanner and another in their aesthetics work?
Oh man. Well, ultimately it comes down to image quality, right? I mean, when you're looking for a scanner, I mean, however you like to say that, right? Image quality. And so I would ask, number one, what are your goals on how to use it? And then what is your timeline? You know, I feel like those are two valuable questions to be able to decide, you know, are you going to use it in emergencies only? Are you going to be using it on a daily practice long term, right? This isn't like a trend for you. This is, you know, this is going to be your standard of care. And if providers can afford it, I do recommend you know, bumping up to like a mid-level ultrasound system, because you get so much more long term.
Any recommendation? Well, not recommendation, but any examples of a mid-range?
Oh, a mid-grade. Like for me, I personally use the Mindray device. So it's the Mindray TE5. It's not wireless. It's all direct connection. It has here, I'll show you. Like it has like a transducer with a port connection, right? Something that you can switch out if a different transducer comes available. Okay. It has a flat screen, like it's a 15-inch screen. Mine is still portable. That's a really important thing to consider when buying one. But if honestly you're still a little skeptical but you're willing to try something out, I see no harm in starting with like one of the wireless, like Clarius or Philips Lumify, the GE Vscan Air. I actually just demoed the Vscan Air, the new one, yesterday, and I was really happy with what I was seeing out of it. So if you're not quite willing to make the jump in the investment in something that will last you longer as you grow with the machine, a handheld is still a wonderful option. I simply try to stay brand neutral. Yeah. And I'm just there for the provider with whatever their specific circumstances are. I do say to at least scan on 2 different devices and speak to somebody who owns a device before purchasing. That would be my personal recommendation. Just because I feel like there's a lot of bells and whistles, or like, you know, advertising out there, and until you speak to somebody who has a device, just to truly know what you're getting with your purchase. Yeah. And
just for Clarius or Philips, as you chop this video up now and get Candice just saying Philips or Clarius, please make sure you give her credit for this. Make sure she gets invited to some speaking events as well. That's Clarius and Philips there. Okay. So when you're chopping up the video, make sure you give credit, please.
Sunny.
No, that's really good, Candice. I mean, a lot of people do have questions because it's a big investment. I mean, for a mid-range, what are you looking at in the States in terms of dollar cost?
In the States, with a Mindray, you can get in around like 16,000 for like an aesthetic setup, right? Like a single transducer, and a 15-inch screen, and a cart and everything, right? Yeah. So mid-range. I mean, you do step up if you go with it, like a GE Venue Go. I mean, those are going to be over double that price. But I feel like, you know, 16,000 can be a good mid-range. And then, of course, I think everyone knows
I think and Viv will agree with this, there's a bit of a difference between the UK and the States in that, you know, aesthetics is unregulated here in the UK, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I mean, I know there's a little bit of unregulation, but it's, you know, it's a bit tighter over in the States. One of the questions that ultrasound or future practitioners want to ultrasound in aesthetics are asking is, you know, how how can I add this into my portfolio? I've got to have a return of investment. We espouse,
Yeah.
patient safety, but what have practitioners done in the States that you've been working with? How do they incorporate it into their kind of pricing model?
A lot of times they'll split the cost, right?
Okay.
Or like do something like just increase their services just a little bit and start really advertising to their clientele that this is what they're doing, these are the steps they're taking to be able to have improved treatment outcomes and make sure the filler is going where they want it to go, or to keep them safe, right? That speaks to every single patient
Exactly.
out there. So I feel like with this movement into the aesthetic industry, ultrasound, I'm already having clients look for providers who use this service. As people ask me what I do, they say, do you have a list of providers?
Oh, wow.
Do you know what providers in this area offer ultrasound? And I think that's going to be part of their portfolio investment, is they're going to retain clients, and then they're going to have that additional bump up of interest when people start referring them to them because they use ultrasound or have somebody who comes in for ultrasound.
Viv, I've got a stack of questions, but go on. I can see your mind whirring. Go for it.
It's great to have somebody like you with your experience and your background talking about the whole issue of ultrasound use in aesthetics. Another question that practitioners might think about, in terms of the device and in terms of the training, where do you think the training to use the ultrasound fits in? Do you think individuals should perhaps look at training before purchasing a device, or the other way around? What would you say to them?
Well, probably a month ago, I would have said I don't really have an opinion. But the more that I see my providers in class and working with the devices there, they have a full day. They have a full day with them to be able to use their ultrasound devices, maybe 2 or 3 of them that we have in class, right? And so they can see the pros and cons, or like the limitations of one over the other, or the image quality. And so I do maybe even count that as part of, scanning with more than 2 devices. If you're in a class, you're ideally going to get that before you buy. However, if you already bought a device, that's okay. Like, bring your device to class or to any training, and we will like hone in all your skills and make sure that you can optimize your device and use it to the best that you can. So
okay, great.
Yeah.
What about things like progression? Once somebody's perhaps bought a device, they've done a little bit of training initially to use it for certain aspects of their work. What about progression and improving practice? What do you think they should do if they want to look into further use of the device? Perhaps they've started doing vascular mapping. They want to do a little bit more, specializing in certain areas of the face. Is there training for different stages of ultrasound use? Do you provide different levels of training for practitioners?
Yes, absolutely. Viv, what we do is I send out a questionnaire anytime I have an interest or a request to train. And in there, I ask them to specifically list, their experience and where they want the most training. And we can cater their training around that specific injection that they're working on, or if they're like, I do everything, but I don't do ultrasound guidance on anything, we can do training specifically on that. If providers aren't ready to hire for training, I recommend books. Books kind of like this, and I can give you the quote. Sorry, let me see here.
We'll put it into the comments. Viv will put that into the into the profile.
Anyway, stuff like this. There's actually 2 books that I'm waiting for to truly get published, and you probably know which ones I'm talking about. So when they come out, I can send you that information too, because I feel like having these resources, I know it's not nearly as fun as like a hands-on course or getting that training, but sometimes people can't travel, or they don't feel like they can invest in that right now. And of course, I'm a resource. Anybody can ask me a question online, and I will do my absolute best to help challenge them and give them goals to set in order to help them achieve like a desired outcome.
do you provide anything like virtual training for practitioners at certain levels? Is that something you're able to do?
You know, I definitely can. I haven't done much of it yet. Most of my virtual stuff is consultations and doing like a screen share through the Clarius while providers are scanning. So I'm kind of teaching them how to use their device while they're doing that and guiding them that way. But yeah, that's a great idea, and it probably
I've got
will
I've
be coming
got a
soon.
suggestion for you, Candice. I've got a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Then you should do
Oh,
a reel a week. And as an 11-year and established sonographer now specialising in facial aesthetics, you should challenge us in the community to just
wow, I love that.
ultrasound one level, one area, every week, and
Okay.
then share it, and then we'll tag you in and we'll share it. So a bit of anatomy, something related to
Okay.
fillers. You set the challenge, and let us as the community give it a go, and we'll all give it a go.
Sunny.
So I think you'll
Sunny
get a
Dhesi.
lot of interaction, and all it will do is promote, obviously,
I love
ultrasound
that.
obviously promotes aesthetic imaging as well. So yeah, a challenge. Well, I mean, whatever you want to do, once a month, once a week, but
I
give us a
like
piece
it.
of anatomy, and
Cool.
maybe the best image. Get some one-to-one training virtually with you. How's that sound?
I love it. I love it. I love the challenge. I was challenging you guys, and now you're challenging me back. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Challenge accepted.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we look forward to it. We look forward to anyone not following
Thank you.
aesthetic imaging. You've got the challenges there. So
Yep.
It,
Come
it's
find
really
us.
it's really great listening to all the knowledge you've got, Candice. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, perhaps, that we haven't covered at all yet? Is there anything in particular to do with your work and to do with how providers find your work in looking at improving their abilities to carry out their aesthetics work? Anything at all that you wanted to say more?
You guys have done a beautiful job. Honestly, I do want providers to know that I'm here to help, be a part of their team. Meet you where you are in your ultrasound journey, just like you guys are meeting me where I'm at in my aesthetic journey, with everything. And overall, my goal is to create a sense of community around this site. And I think you guys are a great example of that, to be able to keep the dialogue open, be okay saying, I don't know, when we don't know. We're all still learning so much around all of this. But I'm here to teach and train and mentor in any way that I can. And yeah, you can find me at Aesthetic Imaging.
okay, well, we're going to be looking to see what the challenge is for next week, because we'll announce
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
Candice's challenge.
I'll get on it.
Brilliant.
This is Candice's Instagram page, aesthetic_imaging. So anyone who's been watching this, really follow Candice. She's really nice, and the work she does is amazing. So follow her. That's what I think.
Perfect. Yeah, we've got another training coming up in November here in Portland. So if anyone's looking for a full day training in the basic foundations of ultrasound, we've got that coming up, and they can just DM me for all the details for that.
Viv, do you want to wrap up? We're
Yeah. Thanks very much, Candice. Really nice speaking to you. And it's been nice that we've been able to sort this out the second time. Luckily,
I
the
know.
first time
Thank you
didn't
for
work.
giving me another chance.
we wouldn't not give you another chance. It was really nice having you. But I think it was we're going to be back on again next Sunday, not Thursday, but Sunday, October the 23rd, and it's 11 a.m. purely because of a time difference. We're speaking to Stuart Turner, who's at Vino Australia. I think he runs the distributors for Vino, the aesthetic, the acoustic.
Very nice guy.
The device, the company that produces the devices, and he's going to be joining us at 11 a.m. on the Sunday, week on Sunday. So hopefully we'll get some viewers watching that. There was also one more thing I wanted to say. Sunny, you've got a live coming up next week, isn't it? Is it?
yes, we have. It's just in my so it's in conjunction with Dr. Jigna Patel and Nagme from Cutis AI, and it's if you look at my stories now, it's on there, and we'll be promoting it throughout the week. So it's an amazing collection of really expert individuals, present company obviously excluded, not experts in any way, but talking about aesthetics, consultation, and skin, and how we approach it in our own unique way. So yeah, check it out, and we'll be promoting. But thanks for reminding me, Viv.
No problem. That's pretty much it. I think we can finish up there. So thanks again, Candice. We'll hopefully organise another live with you at some point. But if you do start a weekly challenge or a monthly challenge, whatever you want to call it, we'll happily join in, and hopefully it'll help other practitioners to see what can be done with ultrasound and how big the community is and how well it's growing over time as well. So we'd love to be involved if you start that. It'd be nice.
I'm so excited. So thank you so much for having me, and you guys will see a challenge soon.
Thank you very much, Candice. Thanks, Viv.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
take care.
Good night.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
very much. See ya.
Bye.